repost it later. All right, so let's put together a little outcome for the day. I'm gonna try code for about an hour, and I'm gonna try fix some bugs that I know about, build out some features. The main problem right now is that in the port from ClojureScript to Clojure, you can't see the product catalog any longer. So let's focus on that. Like, query the your chat store catalog, and I like to write down user stories. So like, as a customer, I can browse the catalog so that I can add a product to my shopping cart. All right, what do we need to do that? This is how I do most of my project planning, and even when I'm working completely alone. If I don't do this, there's no way I'm going to stay on track. I need a structured planning approach where I'll write down what I'm doing. So I have to be able to query the catalog. I have to render the custom Telegram keyboard, which looks like this, right? This keyboard here. I have to look up the right store based on which bot the customer is interacting with. Let me just ask a friend if this is actually working. Let me ask my cousin Ben. Okay, here we go. We have to query the product catalog, render a custom Telegram keyboard, and then we have to handle add to cart events. Okay, and that happens by clicking a little button in Telegram. So I think first thing to do is just query the product catalog, and we'll just write like a mock function for that. All right, so we're back in the code here. I'm gonna go look at the roots. We've got menu here, and menu is handled by handle menu request. Let's just see if it works. We're gonna say menu goes here, right? That's what we're seeing, and that's cool. That's coming from the production server. So now we're going to look up the products in the catalog, and we'll see which catalog we're referring to in a second. For now, I'm just going to say all catalogs, and I'm going to look up a product. This is a data log query that lives inside of that catalog, and I actually want to pull everything about the product. I can never remember the order for this, but this looks right to me. And I can actually take this query and just put it in a comment here. Oops. And I can use the connection that I have here at the top. I should have a connection here. Let's see, bridge.data.datahike as, well, let's say refer connection. And we can deref the connection. We can see, cool, there's an empty DB, there's nothing in it so far. So if we try and make a query for an attribute, we'll see that it actually will error out. So let's test that. Menu request. Okay, so I'm going to try and run a query, and I think it will complain. Wrong order there. Okay, so there's nothing in the DB yet. So let's try and add a fake product just to see if it works. Right. So this is how we transact in DataHike or Datomic or DataScript. I'm using DataHike as a persistence layer. It's like open source Datomic that supports durable hitchhiker trees, which are a persistent data structure that efficiently encodes facts or datums. I'm not going to go into the persistence layer too much right now. Let's just see if we can get something stored. So I'm going to make a product. I don't mind that it says in the production DB because there's nothing in it at the moment. Normally you'd want to do this through like a migration. So let's just try to transact that, see what happens. and I put it in a temp variable so that I can deref it and see if it completed. Okay, so it moans, it says no schema found in DB, as expected. Great. Alright, so we actually have some schema defined, and this is, let's find this here. There we go. So you've got a schema defined that essentially describes the domain model of the product, right? So the product is basically an e-commerce platform that runs over chat. And so all of the things you think you need, like products and catalogs and customers and contacts and invoices and sales orders, the stuff I've been earning my bread and butter for the last 15 years, it's all in here, and it's gradually growing. So we have some attributes here, like contact, a contact's name, a contact's full name. I think we should get rid of this name. I switched to full name. Contact email, contact phone, the role of a user, which should be many, and I think it maybe should be a string actually. And then when I'm writing code, I'll usually write something down like how to handle store-specific roles, because you need a sort of a mapping layer for that. Most importantly right now is let's just get to the product section, which is we have a product can have a catalog, right? Product can belong to a catalog, and so the way these facts work is there are 4 tuple that looks like this: entity, attribute, value, and time or transaction. Just EAVT for short, and that's actually how the indices are stored on disk. Okay, so in this case, you would have some entity, 1, 2, 3, which would belong to another catalog 4, 5, 6, where 4, 5, 6 is a catalog that has a name, my catalog, for example. And the way those are resolved at query time is by following these indices, and the indices are defined by a schema, and this is the schema. So the schema here says that a product catalog attribute is a reference or a ref, and a ref points to another value. And in this case, the cardinality of this attribute is not one but many, which means that a product can belong to many catalogs at the same time. Now there are considerations like how do you handle multiple price lists, how do you handle price lists in different currencies. We will deal with all of that in due time. For now, let's just get this schema transacted. Again, I don't mind doing this in production because I'm probably going to drop this DB anyway. So I can eval that. This is cool. There's your schema. And now I can I'm going to put this in a comment. I can transact. I'm going to do it somewhere more convenient. And I can transact that schema against the connection. I'm going to see, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to try and deref that. It might complain, it might not. Let's see what happens. No such namespace schema. Just got to import this. Okay. And now let's try again. Alright. That's interesting. There was probably an error. I wonder what happened here. Okay, well, let's see what happens if we try to transact now. Bad entity attribute, product name not defined in current schema. I wonder if we can validate the schema. Why can't we transact? TX report cannot be cast to class Java util concurrent feature. Why not? Probably complaining. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Transacted. Now let's try again. Product name not defined in schema. Surely we must have a product name. Maybe, oh, I called it product title, my bad. Okay, product title. It's always confusing. Should you call it name? Should you call it title? I don't know. I typically use title and description when one is short and one is long. So let's try that. That'll work. Okie doke. So we've transacted. Now let's try and query for all the products that have a product name. we see there are, oh sorry, product title. I'm surprised DataHack doesn't complain when I try to query against a non-existent attribute. There are some settings for schema flexibility on read and on write. There we go, beautiful. So that item, that product has actually been transacted with an ID of 69, and that happens automatically. Beautiful. Okay, so now we need a way for, and this is how a lot of development goes for me, is like I'll start by building out one little piece, and I'll realize, I need a way for store creators to manage their products. Now this has been on the roadmap for a long time, but I just haven't gotten around to implementing it, because typically I would just go create their products manually. So let's just add a way so that customers can message the bot something like product new or new product, something like that, and then they can be prompted to go through a state machine where they can create a new product. For now, I'm just going to make a way to type new product and some title, and we'll deal with the state machine later. We'll build it out. So first we'll make a root, in this case new product. So these two are nested. It's a bit hard to see, and I'm going to add some anything after this this path will go in here, and I'm just going to write it out. I'm going to say new product, and I think path comes via where does that come in again? I think it goes in params. Let's just look at the params for now. So I'm using a routing library called write-it, or rooted, I don't know how to pronounce it. And I'm just going to write out all the params. Okay, so I'm going to eval that, and now if we hit production with new product, or even as just like that, it's just create product. At my dispatch layer, I'm converting any spaces to slashes, which is happening here. So there's a multi-method handler that takes a message, and it checks if there is a leading // it looks up the root in the router, which is coming from these roots, and pulls out the chat ID, which we'll use to fetch a session or a context for this user. Every user has a unique chat ID, and then it dispatches the root hit to the handler for that root. In this case, it shows this message create product, which it doesn't do yet. So let's pull that out, and we also want to look at the logs for this. So I'm surprised that I'm not seeing any logs. I just want to see why not. Test. Okay, well there it is. There's a test message. So if I eval this and I tell it new product ABC, I would expect to see a log. So now I'm wondering if the log is going to the access log on the in production, or if there's a way for me to like tail the logs live. I'm not sure I'm gonna do that. For now, let's just mock this request in our test namespace and see what comes out locally. So we can at least test if it works locally. I'm probably going a little bit fast and kind of jumping all over the place, but the point here is to actually be productive and to build out some features. Let me just see what's going on the live stream. I mean, anyone has commented, perhaps. Let's have a look. If there are questions, I can go slower. Hello, Model A. I don't know if anyone's watching. Okay. I must say, I never thought anybody would want to watch someone code, let alone watch someone watch something else commenting on something. But today that's very popular. So I got into this by watching Salvatore Sanfilippo, who made Redis live coding on Twitch, and it's captivating because you're watching a professional programmer solve problems in real time, and he'll like take some time to explain why he's doing what he's doing. And the reason I'm doing it is to maybe someone can learn something, force myself to structure my thoughts a little bit better, to vocalize why I'm doing what I'm doing, and kind of showcase my project. Let's get back to dealing with this routing problem. So we can make a mock JSON request to a local URL. For now, I just want to see how where those parameters are coming from. Just gonna do a test log here to see if that that works in locally. Let's see if that works in production. Yes. Okay, we're gonna pull out the terminal. Let's SSH into this box. I'm gonna try not to leak any secrets while I'm working on this. If I do, I'll have to retract them. So I just want to see if there are some access logs or any exceptions for the running service. So this is the production bot that's serving up the Telegram bot, I guess. And I expect to see somewhere I can look for my Java process that's monitored via system control or systemd, and it should be logging to somewhere. I'm not sure where. So like a lot of the time it's like me googling stuff like, okay, systemd log location or systemd configure logging, and I bet I can do it with journal control. So if I type journal control u bridge, because the process is called bridge, I'm seeing things coming in. There we go, beautiful. So these are the logs that I've been looking for, and I was looking for those parameters. Now I'd like to be able to stream these locally, and I might end up using like a centralized streaming service for that. I don't know. Can people watch this after it's done streaming? I don't know. Maybe there's a way to streaming control logs. There must be a way. Sending logs to nRipple. So there's probably a way to see the logs. There's like a way to configure where the logs go. And that's what I'm trying to figure out now. How to see Timber logs in production in nRipple. Let's just go look at the configuration options for Timber by Tassanis. That's the logging library I'm using. So just search in here. This is my typical workflow. Is I'll go to GitHub and search for issues or for code that matches. So I'm going to open an issue on this on Timber. It's not technically an issue for Timber, but it affects me, and he'll probably know how to solve it. It's like how to see logs, remote nRipple logs when connected to Timber. How to see Timber logs when connected to a remote nREPL. I'm using Timber for my logging. When I connect to my production, to an nREPL in production, I can't see the log output unless I SSH into the machine and run journal control, since my Java process is managed by systemd. Is there a way to enable to I guess multiplex Timber logs to the nREPL client? Yeah. There's probably a configuration for this, like closure logs nREPL. How to see logs nREPL. So this is a question on Stack Overflow. Okay, so by default console output printed at nREPL server buffer. I would imagine that the problem with doing multiple logging is that it adds this sort of like n+1 problem where the more logs you're streaming to, the slower it gets, because logging can actually have a significant impact on performance. Logging. So there's this dynamic var called out. I think I'm also going to ask a question on Stack Overflow. How to see Timber logs by nREPL. Timber for my logging. There we go. nREPL production, I can't see that. Hello Divan. Hoe gaan het? Can you see this? Can you hear me? Is my audio good? Okay. Okay. Alright, yeah, I'm trying something new, Divan. Thanks for commenting. Now I know at least I'm not speaking into the void. My plan is to live stream some live coding sessions where I'm working on my product Bridge, which is this product over here. Bridge is chat for business, and hopefully I can some people can learn from what I'm doing, and I'll be forced to structure my thoughts better and be more productive in a shorter session. As part of that, I'll be like jumping around all over the place, fixing stuff, learning things, filing issues like I am now on GitHub and Stack Overflow. I'm just gonna post a Stack Overflow question. So if anyone knows the answer to this, how can I multiplex Timber logs so that they are visible in the nREPL I suspect I need to alter the out bar. Just see closure logging if there's like a treatise on it. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens there. And some internet points. Okay, let's see what's next. Just wanted to look at the parameters coming in. Okay, I've remembered how this works now. So the telegram and the router, when we dispatch incoming requests, it pulls out the handler function, and then we can also pull out the parameters. Right, so it looks like this. Get in data. I think it's path params. Let's see my NIF. Let's see what he says.
Ja,
oh, we're a little bit loud.
check die notification pop-up en dit het gewerk. Ek net so 'n paar sekondes gekyk, maar ek moes met my ides toe gaan. Maar ja, nee, hy werk, sorry.
Cool, okay, good to hear that the live stream works. It does not post. Okay. There we go. Closure in production logging. Yes, that's what I want to see. Yeah. I bet there's a way to stream logs to the nRipple. Yeah, I don't see an obvious way to do it for now. Path, telegram, router, new product. Let's see that one. That should be nil. That should match. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at what's coming out of this. Let's make some space here. Okay, so in the match we get path params. That's what I'm actually looking for. That's the reading match, and what we'll do is we'll pass parameters to we'll associate the parameters with the request, so then we don't have to add another argument. Here we go. I'm gonna actually just put that straight in there, and this way every handler has to basically know what its arguments would be, which it's a mixed bag. Okay, let's go back to our commands and let's just see if we can print out those parameters just locally. What are we doing? Telegram handler, which lives over here. Actually need to be able to make a nice mock request. Hello Spicer. Like Volt. Yeah, that's pretty wild. You're getting a roller coaster tour into Petrus's brain, and how scatterbrained I can be. So I can make a mock request. It should Alright, so what are we doing right now? I want to finish the new product route. Hello Alexis, how are you? Trying to finish the new product creation route, and to do that we need to parse some parameters out of the chat message, so that when someone types new product something, it will create the right product. So for now I'm actually just going to have it reply with whatever parameters came in. I'm going to send this to production, super dangerous, and let's just see what happens. New product ABC. Great, so it pulled out the path argument. And we're going to use that for figuring out which catalog you want to add a new product to, or what the title of the product is. And eventually we'll do a little state machine where, as you interact with the bot to create a new product in your chat commerce store, it will ask you, okay, what's the title of the product? You want to upload an image? But while doing that, avoid as much modal interaction as possible. But for today, just want to get it out, so that if you type a new product ABC, it will create a new product called ABC, and then you can edit it or delete it, take it from there. And this should also trigger. Cool. Alright, so let's just pull path out of the parameters, and we're going to use that as the title of the product, but that's just temporary. Don't use path as title of product. And so here we could have like a new product handler. Why not? Handle new product. And we can put our I'm always wary. I don't want to abstract too early. Let's just get it working first. So I'm just gonna transact directly into the it'll be API, I think. Yeah. Need our connection. I'm using mount for my stateful symbols, like the connection here, which connects to my local data hike DB. And so when I touch it, it will pull out everything about that, the database, which is very noisy at the moment. It's just all of the schema attributes we have to model our shopping domain. So we're just going to transact a new product. I give it the title of the path, and we're going to put it in a catalog. Okay. We'll also create a new catalog. Don't worry, we'll fix this later. Test catalog. Ideally, the catalog should have like a unique name so we can identify them. Maybe not a bad idea to have an ident for it. Test cat catalog like that. I'm not sure if that's going to work, or if even db ident is a. We'll see. That's one, that's two, and okay. So when we do this, eval, remember this is in production. I'm going to say new product, my product. And I didn't get a response, which tells me it's probably an error. I think it's complaining about the ident. So we can go look on the server for logs, but this is like a really shit way to do it. I was googling earlier how to stream nripple logs. Bad entity value test catalog. Yeah, I think that's because db ident is not an actual attribute. So I'm gonna go see if DataHack supports this. So it's a little bit dangerous to use a sort of esoteric database like DataHack, but it's just me working on this project, and I know that I can move to Datomic Cloud later at some point if I need to. I just don't want to pay $700 a month to do so. Hello Alexis, how are you? Can you hear me? Drop a comment if you can follow, or drop a comment if I'm jumping all over the place and no one can follow. Okay, so I think the issue is that idents are keywords. So let's try this. Test catalog. Let's try again. My product. Hey! Alright, so we've created a new product, but because I'm replacing all the spaces in the root. Yo, phone. What does phone mean? Alexis. Alright, so we've created our first product. Don't worry, we'll drop this DB at some point. I just want to see if I can now find that product. I think I wrote the query for it already. Here we go. What's nice about data log is that we can make queries completely reusable. So if we type menu, it says menu goes here, and we should now be able to print out all the products we have. And so if I eval this in production, we type menu again. Did that work? No. Why not? Well, let's see what happens when we run it. Oh, DB is not. Well, let's just try it manually. With an empty. Here we go. Can't parse the pull expression. I always get those two mixed up. Try again. Beautiful. So what happened there was we sent a message to our Telegram bot, went via Telegram. Telegram hit an error. Oh, I see you're on your phone, Alexis. Cool, I gotcha. It hit an error, and it kept trying. So it kind of sits in a queue for up to 24 hours. And when I when I fixed the query, when it retried, it said, "Cool, here you go. Here's your product." So here's the product we inserted into the catalog. I want to add some more things about that product. Like I want to add its price. I want to add an image. We will get to the finite state machine user interface where we will be able to specify all those things for new product creation. But for now, let's just give it like a fake price so we can put it in the show it in our menu. And so we're gonna go check the ID of the product is 70. I'm gonna say product unit price. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna transact that. Works. And now if we say menu, we should get that price. Sorry, it was 72. That was the ID. Should work now. And beautiful, there is our unit price. We also need to add a currency. It's going to be South African rands. Let's just have a quick peek at our data definition for how do we handle currencies. So we don't yet. We're going to have to add that. Okay, so I'm gonna add a new attribute. I'm gonna call it currency, which I don't really like this model because sometimes you want to list a product on multiple catalogs or multiple price lists at different price points due to foreign exchange reasons. You're pricing it at like $1.99 and R10.99 on this platform, and you need a way to distinguish between those. Alexis, to answer your question, so I'm working on my lockdown project, which is called Bridge, and Bridge is chat for business. It is a e-commerce platform that runs over chat. So basically a shopping cart that understands text messages that can be sent over email or chat. And right now I'm focused on the Telegram integration. And the reason you would want Bridge is if you're doing any kind of business, especially if you have loyal customers or any kind of informal trade, then setting up like a Shopify store is really heavy. Users have to create an account. It's like sort of a traditional web experience, very rectangular boxes, shopping cart, checkout experience. That's a little bit heavy for you. And if you're used to doing business over chat, it's usually like something like, hey man, you still have stock? Is the Olympic bar still for sale? Anything you kind of put on Gumtree. And with Bridge, you can do that in chat, but you have a little bit more structure to your interaction. And it kind of looks like, I'll show you an example. This is a store I'm setting up for a friend of mine. So you can query a catalog and then add stuff to your cart and check out, specify your address, and it's like a really quick, slick integration. I'll show you a live demo, but we're kind of in the middle of building it, and it's a little bit broken at the moment. So part of this live stream is about fixing it up and making it work cleanly. I hope that makes sense. You can go check out www.tradebridge.app if you want to read about it or sign up, or if you know anyone who is selling informally, whether they're selling bootleg liquor or whether they're selling frozen lamb, let them know. To answer your question, Instagram integration, yes. However, I just want to get it working really cleanly on Telegram, because Telegram does not charge per message like WhatsApp does, and I think it's inevitable that WhatsApp and Instagram will sort of coalesce or converge in that sense. I'm aware that Facebook launched Facebook Shops recently. I was working on this for some months before that, but I think it's validating that that space is starting to open up. But I don't have much confidence in Facebook executing on it very well. They just don't have, I don't think they have empathy for their users, for the kind of people who are selling via chat. But I will do Instagram integration at some point. I'll probably do it at the same time as doing the Facebook Messenger and the WhatsApp integration. The thing is, if someone is not willing to install Telegram to use this because it's that much more convenient, which I believe it is, then this product is dead in the water anyway. My experience has been that no one has had a problem installing Telegram to engage with their favorite sellers and favorite suppliers. But we will do WhatsApp and we'll do Instagram at some point. All right. So we need to store like the currency of product prices somehow. Now, like I was saying earlier, the problem here is that it's easy to go put a unit price and a currency on a given product. But a product could be listed on multiple catalogs in multiple different currencies at different times with certain price lists kicking in for specials that are pre-scheduled ahead of time, and you need to be able to support that. Now, I may not need to support it today, but I don't want to pigeonhole myself into one way of doing pricing, because in my experience, you always end up needing multiple currencies. So one way to model this in the e-commerce domain is to call it like a product listing or a price listing. And if we go look at how other people do it, like TradeGecko, which I've used in the past when I was at my WeFix days. If you go look at how Stripe does it, they have like a product, and they have retrieve a particular product. And I just want to see how they do their pricing. You see, they don't even put the price on the product. They put it on like on something else. I just don't know, what do they call it? Order line item. Okay, variance. Retrieve a particular variant. Just looking for an attribute called price. No man, my keyboard is sometimes freaks out. What do they call it? Tax component, stock transfer. I'm not sure they even support multiple pricing. Let's just look if Stripe does. Doesn't matter. The way I would do this is to have something called a product listing or a catalog listing, because that's essentially what it is. You're taking a product and you're listing it in that catalog, and you can either call that a catalog entry or a product entry or a price listing. I like the term price listing because it implies that it's there's a price involved, and the prices can be different. I would like to know the right term for this. Someone might have done the thinking already, so I just want to find the right name for it. Like, yeah, I mean, WooCommerce, they've done something like this. Basically, I'm looking for the right attribute name, which I think the best name would be something like price listing, and then have a unit price, or a product listing. That's not obvious. What is a product listing? Or would you call it a catalog item, because it is an item in the catalog. So a catalog line, maybe. You actually spend up doing most of your thinking about modeling this kind of stuff correctly. This is how I browse the internet. I open millions of tabs, and then I kind of gloss over them really quickly until I find what I'm looking for. Another way to do it is to just search GitHub for something that more or less fits what I'm looking for. So let's do db ident product catalog, and see if anyone has done the same thing, and if they have, I'll just use the same. Hi, I'm actually finding my own. Okay, there's not much Datomic around. Okay, we can try for a sequel. We can say create table products catalog. There should be a lot more matches, yeah. And then I'm also going to look for unit price. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but sometimes it's worth getting the right name, because it's always hard to change names in the database later. I don't see a good name. Alright. Let's just call it a listing. How's that? A product listing. Catalog item. Unit price. Okay, we're gonna try that, and if it doesn't work, we'll change it. Catalog item. I don't know if I like that name. Price list listing. Catalog listing. Yeah, that feels a bit better. So what I really would like here is to have nested data structures for data hike where I can store the unit price like this along with the currency, but we have to split it up into two parts. And I think a catalog should have a given currency, should be implied. How about catalog product? This is where I'm kind of, I think this is one of the failures of closures. Like I want like a nested namespaces, like this. Like custom indices I think would go a long way. And I guess I could just call this catalog product. No, why not? The issue is that you always end up needing this sort of two-way mapping that doesn't quite fit into the four tuple shape. Yeah, okay, catalog listing is the right thing. So we can refer to a given product. So we have our product, we have the price, it's just the catalog listing. And so this is like a triple of the things we care about. We might also add some like geographic limits to this catalog, like how far away from the seller do you have to be to buy, do you need a verified account, blah 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 blah, all of that stuff. Like, is the catalog private? And the catalog listing needs to also know which catalog we're referring to. Now this is a little bit more indirection, but don't worry, we'll get there. Catalog listing, catalog item, catalog line. I don't know what the right naming is for this. See how Shopify does it actually. See, they've got the products, and they've got variants. They've got price rules. Product listing. Sales channel. How do they handle pricing? So these are variants, but like presentment prices. See, now this is exactly how they handle different pricing. I don't know if that's flexible enough. Alright, we're not going to code for much longer. Hello Werner, hello Fritz. Hoe gaan het? Leave a comment on the stream if you want. Today we're working on Bridge, which is my lockdown project, to help bring businesses online during lockdown by letting you sell your products via chat or email, specifically Telegram. And then later we'll do WhatsApp and Instagram. Alright, so let's see where we are. We're busy designing the domain model to handle multiple price lists for a product that exists in a catalog. So for example, you might want to sell your accessory for $1.99 in the States, but you want to charge a nice around R10.99 in South Africa. How do you handle that? How do you add the rules for that? Got to think about the design of the database. And so a lot of the thinking goes into what am I going to name these things and how do they fit together. And so far we have a something called a product, and product can have a variety of attributes like a description, like an image URL, title, a SKU. SKUs must be unique, for example, or at least unique within the product, within the catalog, sorry. And now we want to handle these multiple pricing. So, but to do that, you have to have products, you have to have catalogs, and a catalog can have a bunch of products. But that sort of mapping in the middle needs to know about the product, needs to know about the catalog, needs to know about the price you want to sell it at. And so the name we've chosen for now for that intermediate thing is a catalog listing, which I'm not crazy about the name, but we're going to go with that for now. And it binds together these things, the catalog, which is a reference to the catalog, the product, reference to the product, a unit price, which is a big decimal suitable for storing money types, and the currency, which should be a string. Now we can also refer the currency to like a list of, like this could also be a ref, like if we had a list of supported currencies, but these are so universal that I'm just going to use a string. All right, so we're going to transact this new schema. What I'm doing is super dangerous. I'm transacting against a production database. I don't care. I generally know what I'm doing when I'm in the REPL, and also I can just drop the database afterwards because we don't have much production data. You usually want to be a little bit more careful. You want to make your changes via well-designed migrations. All right, so let's see if we've transacted as we wanted to. Yep, looks like we have. So now we're going to write some queries to add our add a listing for our product. So a catalog listing, the product should be product 72. We're gonna add, this is our new listing. We're gonna add it to catalog, test catalog, which is like an ident we came up with. I just actually want to see if I can pull out that catalog just to see if it works. Sorry, there we go. All right, so that works. Cool, and we're gonna add a unit price, which is 123. We're gonna add a currency. Now this looks like a little bit verbose, but don't worry, it's like we can write helpers for it to make it easier. And I'm gonna try to transact this, and great, there you go. So actually get back like the whole DB. We actually just care about the DB after. Just gonna add an ident here for test listing, so that we don't retransact. I'm gonna add it at 50 USD just to test. I'll call it 7 USD. Cool, so that works. So now we're gonna query, and I'm gonna use the map shape query. Hello Candice, how are you? I'm gonna query our database for this catalog listing so that we can show our price list for all the different products in our catalog. Go. Just gonna find all the products real quick. All the products that have a title. Let's see if this works. Just complaining about in. There we go. Cool. So those are all the products that we have in our system, and these products should also live inside of a listing. There we go. Listing. Catalog, and that catalog. We're specifically interested in everything about that listing. We want to know what price, what currency, that kind of thing. And here we go. We want this product, and this catalog listing should belong to a given catalog. That should work. Let's see. I always get the order mixed up for pull. Cool. So these are the two listings we made. All right. So if you're not familiar with Datalog, this looks a little bit crazy right now, but there's a great. Hello Dale, nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. This is my first time live streaming coding. If you thought there was nothing more boring in the whole world than watching someone else code, well, here we have it. I was inspired to do it because Salvatore Sanfilippo, who made Redis, was doing it via Twitch. So the stream is also streaming on Twitch at the same time as Facebook Live. And the point of this is to build out my product that I've been working on over lockdown that is designed to help businesses bring businesses online during lockdown who were selling informally via chat or email or via their Instagram. Bridge is basically chat for business, and it's a way to formalize some of the selling that people do. And we're currently very deep in the matrix. We're basically designing the domain model, the database schema essentially for supporting multiple price lists. So that if you have a product and you want to sell it for $5 to US customers, you need some way to distinguish those price lists for US customers and South African customers you want to sell it to for like 200 bucks, 200 rands, for example. And so we've designed our model to map products and catalogs together in a middle layer called a catalog listing, which has a unit price and a currency. And what we've done now is we've made our test product, we've transacted it, and we've now queried the product, pulled it back out of the database, and we can see that this is our product listed at two different price levels. Now I'm also going to pull out the product details, so you can just see what was the name of that product. And there you go. So you've got, it's called my/product. It's just like a test product. And our next step now is to take these price lists, figure out which catalog we're interacting with, pull out the products in that catalog, and then render them as like a nice price list menu, so that it looks something like not like that, something a bit nicer. So when we browse the catalog, I'll show you an example. Bootleg Beerbot, something like this, or with more pictures maybe. The Bowery, here we go. So you're doing this for the Bowery. This is a caterer in Johannesburg. So it's going to look something like this. Nice image, going to have the title. It'll say you can add it to your cart and show the product details. Okay. So this was working before, but then I ported the code base from one platform to another one for latency and deployment reasons. And so I'm just building out those features again so we can reach feature parity. Okay. So let's take this query we've written and we're going to put it in the menu route, so that when someone asks for a menu, we can, but remember to add the actual catalog, dispatch on which catalog we're on. And we're just going to dump this out here and test it out. Cool, so there's all the listings. So then the next step is we're going to render those to a nice inline keyboard. So we've got a function for this already, which I wrote a long time ago. And it lives here in backend Telegram. I'm just going to copy it over here. So basically we want to take a catalog and a set of product listings, and then we want to be able to render a bunch of buttons. And we may need to take into account, like, does the guy already have it in their cart? Does the customer speak Afrikaans or Chinese or Mandarin? So we can do some translation so that the add to cart button says voeg in trolley in Afrikaans. And so these are the things we care about. We need to know what's the catalog, what are the products, what's in your cart, and have you specified a locale for your Afrikaans or your English. And so we'll do the translation later. For now, let's just, I'm just gonna bring in the buttons that I was working on before. Ooh, I've got a money namespace I need to port. I think the quickest way is going to be just to, there's nothing specific in here. Where does this live? Source, commerce, money. So these are ClojureScript files that I'm just going to turn into a CLJC file so that it can compile in both Clojure and ClojureScript. So this project started off as a ClojureScript project, and I've been moving it to Clojure, which is great because I get to use the exact same syntax. I just need to tweak some little platform specific things. So you'll see that file disappeared, and now we can eval that. Of course, it's complaining about the math library. So we'll just write a quick abs function that takes in, and conditionally for ClojureScript it does a different thing than what it would do for Clojure. And I think it's just math abs. Let's see if that works. Yeah. Let's call this X. I actually think there might be a built-in method for this. Let's just see. No. Okay, cool. So there's our abs function, and we can run it on a number. We get the absolute value. Then we have this toLocale thing, which this is JavaScript specific. So we're going to have to port that somehow. And my go-to for this kind of thing is I'm just gonna go look if someone already did the hard work for me, and I look for a CLJC file that has this built in. Okay, perfect. So we've actually found someone who already did it for us. Hello Louis, welcome to the live stream. Long time, lang close gezien. And Dale's still with us. I'm glad to see you guys are still with me. I don't know if this is educational or not. Alright, so what we want to achieve now is we just want to port our money namespace so that it works in both ClojureScript and Clojure. And instead of reinventing the wheel, I thought I'll just go and look for someone who's already done this. And it looks like they're using some built-in Java date management types for this. This looks pretty reasonable to me, so let's just use this. Of course, it's complaining about these namespaces that we don't have to find. Let's just pull in some of the same things. So I'm not going to use their namespace for that. Cool, so that works. Offset date time. Let's just look at what is in their core namespace. So the function they're using here is, so okay, these are coercions to convert date times. So date times are like actually really complicated if you get into it. I'm gonna try to do as little work on this as possible because this can suck up your whole day. It's just dealing with dates and times. Let's see if we can just steal this one little thing. I'm just gonna look up what the format style would be. So these are some format styles. I'm gonna try numeric, see if that works. cannot be cost. Okay. Format style full. I think that's what we're looking for. Sweet, that works. And I'm gonna pass in a date here. See if that works. No, doesn't work. I'm not actually interested in dates. I actually wanted to deal with money, but I think they work in a similar way. So this is an interesting one here. See here, they're just formatting currency themselves according to the currency that they're using. But I bet that there is a better way. I guess we can just do that for now. Oh, I see I already have a format currency function. How are we gonna deal with this? I'm just gonna put the currency symbol at the front. This is a bit of a hack. Okay. And we're hoping that this currency actually has a symbol in it. So we're gonna need a map of currencies to symbols. I think I have them somewhere. This is the very boring part of dealing with multi-currency support, is you have to think about all these things. Hello Andy, hello Ibn, hello Rabine, Duncan. Welcome to my first coding live stream, where we take the most boring thing in the whole world, which is watching someone code, and we try and make it a little bit interesting. I'm working on a product, my lockdown project, which is called Bridge. Bridge is chat for business. It's a way to sell your product via chat or email, because sometimes it's too heavy to do so over a big, heavy e-commerce store that has a certain shape, and users have to create an account. With Bridge, account registration is implicit. You just message the seller, and you get a nice structured list product catalog that you can shop through. So at the moment we're dealing with multiple price listings to handle multi-currency support, and so you've kind of dove in at the deep end. So we'll see if we can wrap this up real quick. Basically, I just need to format my product listings cleanly, so that if you have a rand value, it says R123. If it's a dollar value, it says the dollar sign, which means we need to be aware of like the locale of the user. Is the person messaging from Portugal, or they're messaging us from South Africa? And then we dispatch on that. We say, okay, here's the dollar catalog, the dollar price listing, or here is the rand price listing, and we gotta format that nicely. And every e-commerce platform has to go through this pain of formatting currencies. Let's just get back on track here. Okay, so where are we? We can message the bot. We get a list, a very raw listing of data, and we'd like to format that in a clean way. So let's keep working on that. This is where we handle our menu requests. We query the database for our product, our catalog listing, which is when a product appears inside a catalog at a given price, so that you can do multiple price list support. And we have a helper function here to turn a catalog into a nice inline function. And I'm actually just gonna kind of hack it real quick. Sometimes that's the quickest way, so just do something dirty. Alright, so we're gonna return a different kind of keyboard, not just return a text message. We have to return a particular type of reply if we want to show a nice keyboard like this. All right, so let's find how did we do that. We'll start request. This is what it looks like. We've got our menu, and I'm just quickly going to return something just to. So now if we type menu, we'll get the same. And what we want to do here is for each of the products, we want to show a little button here. Okay. I'm just gonna get that button out. So it's a very common way of like doing dev work is you just mock out something that just barely works, like I'll do now. Okay, that's erroring out. 4, 3. Okay, that's one level too deep. I'm gonna want to concat that. Almost right. That looks mostly right. Cool, there we go. So there are products, product 0, 1, 2, we can view the card. And now we're gonna transplant the query that we wrote for our products to use our actual product listings. Oops. Cool, so we're gonna run our query. I'm gonna pull out the product listings, and instead of iterating over just 1, 2, 3, we're gonna iterate over our products, and I'm just gonna dump out the title of the product for now. See if that works. Oops. What they're complaining about? Even number of forms. Why? What's the issue? I've messed up some. Oh, here we go. Cool. Let's see if that works. Cool. So there are 2 products, but they don't have titles, or at least we're not pulling out the titles. So that would be the listing and the product. I think that will get us to where we want. Beautiful. Cool. So in our query, we're getting returned a tuple, which is this is the listing details, and here are the product details. Now there are various ways to do this. We can also nest the listing, like the query. We can say, give me the product and give me everything about the product. Now this way, we just get the listing, and inside of the listing, we should be able to pull out the product. But now we're getting a little bit into sort of datomic, data hike specific. Let me see if that still works. Yeah, so that still works. So a slightly cleaner way to write these kind of queries. So this is a recursive query which says, find me the listing. You can think about this data model as there is a catalog and there are some products, and we want to list those products in the catalog at a certain price, and we call this thing a catalog listing. And this listing has things like price, currency, which product, which catalog, connects them up like that. Okay, and we're querying, we're saying, give me the listing, and when you find the listing, also dive into that listing and fetch me details about the product. And I can also say, go fetch me details about the catalog. right? But I don't need the catalog right now, right? Cool. So we were making nice progress here. We can see the product in our catalog, and now if I click on one, I'd like to be able to add something. But you'll notice when I click on it, it sends something in the background, but that's actually erroring out because I'm not handling it at all. I don't know if anyone's watching this. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap up for today because I'm getting pretty deep into like specifics about the libraries, and this is not really a very beginner friendly stream. So I'm gonna just get some feedback about it and see how we can change it up, and maybe we'll keep showing what we're working on. All right, thank you guys. Thanks for watching, everyone who participated, and I hope to see you soon.